The whole room? You don't think it's necessary?
I guess.
American side. You want a mallet?
Focus, fire gun. Ah. Now.
There we go.
This. Or people just follow you like that. Oh wow. They're very smooth. With the little crosses.
Set the middle tile first.
So 2 white crosses. That's right there. Here.
Behind your glue.
Nice up.
Sorry. A bug, I think.
It doesn't rust. Yeah, but it also turns yellow. This is fun. Really? Chyba tylko wykupił. Chyba. No, nie jakby miał taki handel. No. Dziękuję. Yes.
No.
At least. No to why so silly? Sustainable pack. Yeah. This is fun. Like the animal. Okay. To bywa. So it's kind of content usually. To? Ja.
Vai verso la macchina.
In my brain.
No.
Yes, it does make sense, okay. He's going around hitting these with a hammer, so.
Ja, ik heb blies, ja.
Yeah.
Better.
Doing that? I mean, getting it out was a bitch when you put.
Pretty good. With the big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear enough. It's very blue. It do be blue, do be blue, do be blue. It do be blue, do be blue. It is very blue.
I'm filming.